12 Years a Slave is a powerful and emotionally charged movie directed by Steve McQueen, based on the true story of Solomon Northup, a free black man who was kidnapped and sold into slavery in the mid-1800s. The film's cast includes Chiwetel Ejiofor as Solomon Northup, Lupita Nyong'o as Patsey, Michael Fassbender as Edwin Epps, Benedict Cumberbatch as William Ford, and Paul Dano as John Tibeats. The movie begins with Solomon, a talented musician and family man living in New York, being lured to Washington, D.C. under the pretense of performing in a circus. There, he is drugged and wakes up in chains, realizing he has been kidnapped and sold into slavery. From this moment on, the audience is taken on a journey through Solomon's harrowing experiences as a slave for 12 years. Throughout the film, we witness the different ways in which the main characters interact with each other and how their actions shape the narrative. Solomon's resilience and determination to survive and return to his family are evident from the beginning. Despite being treated as property, beaten, and forced to work under inhumane conditions, Solomon refuses to let go of his dignity and humanity. Michael Fassbender's character, Edwin Epps, serves as the main antagonist in the film. Epps is a brutal slave owner who is both physically and emotionally abusive to his slaves. He is constantly seeking ways to assert his dominance over them and takes pleasure in inflicting pain. Epps is also involved in a twisted love triangle with Patsey, one of his slaves, and his wife, Mary. The dynamic between the three characters is disturbing, as Epps' obsession with Patsey leads to him brutally whipping her and, at one point, forcing Solomon to do it. Lupita Nyong'o's performance as Patsey is nothing short of extraordinary. Patsey is a strong and resilient character who is forced to endure unimaginable suffering at the hands of Epps. Her portrayal of Patsey's vulnerability and pain is heart-wrenching, and her moments of defiance and bravery are inspiring. Patsey's desire to be free and live a life without the constant fear of abuse and degradation is a recurring theme throughout the film. Benedict Cumberbatch's character, William Ford, is the first slave owner Solomon encounters. Ford is initially presented as a kind and gentle man who treats his slaves with a degree of compassion. However, it is later revealed that Ford is still complicit in the system of slavery and is willing to sell Solomon to Epps when he no longer needs him. Ford's character serves to highlight the hypocrisy of the slave owners who claim to be kind and caring while perpetuating the brutal and inhumane system of slavery. Paul Dano's character, John Tibeats, is another antagonist in the film. Tibeats is a white overseer who is cruel to the slaves under his supervision. His hatred for Solomon is evident from the beginning, and he takes pleasure in verbally and physically abusing him. Their confrontation, which leads to Solomon being hanged by his captors, is one of the most intense and emotional scenes in the film. The film's cinematography and sound design are masterful, with the camera work and editing emphasizing the emotional intensity of the story. The scenes of violence and abuse are difficult to watch, but they serve to highlight the horror and brutality of slavery. The music, composed by Hans Zimmer, is haunting and evocative, adding another layer of emotional depth to the film. One of the most significant themes of 12 Years a Slave is the question of identity. Solomon is a free black man who is kidnapped and forced into a system that denies him his identity and humanity. Throughout the film, he is constantly reminded of his status as a slave and his inability to control his own life. The contrast between his life before and after being kidnapped highlights the ways in which the system of slavery strips individuals of their identity and autonomy. Another important theme is the complex relationships between the slaves and their owners. While some slave owners are portrayed as cruel and sadistic, others are shown as having a degree of compassion and kindness towards their slaves. However, even those who are presented as kind are still complicit in perpetuating the system of slavery, highlighting the deep-rooted nature of the institution and the ways in which it corrupted all those involved in it. In conclusion, 12 Years a Slave is a powerful and emotionally charged film that tells the story of Solomon Northup's harrowing experience as a slave. The performances of the cast are exceptional, particularly those of Chiwetel Ejiofor and Lupita Nyong'o. The film's cinematography, sound design, and music contribute to the overall emotional intensity of the story. Through its portrayal of the complex relationships between slaves and their owners and the question of identity, the film highlights the horrors and brutality of the system of slavery.